Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Intent Hockey channel. Today's video, we've got a quick news and rumor video to discuss. We've got signing to talk about, some injury updates, some waiver updates, suspension. We've also got some trade rumors to talk about involving the Jackets, the Penguins, the Blues, and the Anaheim Ducks. We'll do all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Intent Hockey channel. Now in today's video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. We never show what's up to you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so you can also listen to this video. So in today's video, we're going to start today's video off finally by discussing some signings from our past couple of days. We have had one signing from over the past few days and it was an interesting one. Back I think over last week on like Thursday or Friday, we saw Vegas Golden Knights extend pending UFA defenseman Brayden McNabb, who is an original Golden Knights player, was taken from the LA Kings back in the 2017 expansion draft, signed a 3-year extension with the Vegas Golden Knights with an AAV of $3.65 million, which is a slight bump from his current $2.85 million cap hit. So McNabb's had a pretty good year so far. McNabb's also had a pretty good tenure with the Golden Knights. Last year had 4 goals, 26 points in 82 games with Golden Knights. This year so far has had a goal and 2 points in 18 games. He's not the best offensive guy, but he's going to put up really good defensive numbers. He's a really good defensive player. Sometimes plays with Shea Theodore, sometimes plays with Alex Pietrangelo. He's, I think, played mostly on the third pair this year with a guy like Zach Whitecloud. So he's had a pretty good season so far this year, having 2 points in 8 games, but has been really good defensively. So that's a pretty good sign there for the Golden Knights. Their defense is now locked up for basically the next 2 seasons at least, and Pietrangelo is the only guy who's not signed beyond 3 seasons. So the Knights have a lot of their defense locked up for the next couple of seasons. So Hannafin's locked up, Theodore, Whitecloud, McNabb, Pietrangelo, they're all locked up for at least the next 2 years. The only guy who's not is Haig, who's a RFA at the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see, but McNabb's been a fantastic, serviceable second, third pair guy for his entire tenure with the Vegas Golden Knights, ever since the Knights acquired him in the expansion draft. So to keep him is pretty good. And he's also, I think, the team leader in games played too. So to see him stay around is pretty good. And I think McNabb should continue to be a solid, serviceable second or third pair left shot defenseman for the foreseeable future. So interesting to note there, but the Knights have signed McNabb to a 3-year extension. So that's the only signing we have from our past couple of days. Next, going over to a couple of injury updates. First, Alex Jarnkrok was activated over the weekend and got off of IR after missing a week with an upper body injury, so that was a bad blow there for the Los Angeles Kings. The Chicago Blackhawks placed Seth Jones in injury reserve with a right foot injury, and hopefully he'll return on to some future, but he's going to miss at least the next week, so bad blow there for the Hawks. Philadelphia's Jamie Drysdale is practicing in a non-contact jersey, but is still on IR with an upper body injury, probably going to miss the next couple of games too, so bad stuff there for Philadelphia. Alex Georgiev is day-to-day right now with upper body injury and has been placed in injury reserve, so that's a bad blow there for the Colorado Avalanche. Montreal's Raphael Harvey-Pinard is close to return from a season-opening leg injury. He started to practice. It sounds like he could get back in the next week or two, so good stuff there for Montreal. Well, David Savard missed Saturday's game with an upper body injury, so a bad blow there as they lose one of their top 4 defensemen, hopefully for not too long of a period of time. Boston's Marcus Pettersson left Saturday's game for them and is currently out day-to-day with a lower body injury, so a bad blow there for the Bruins to lose their 4th-line center. Well, Andrew Peeke, who's been out for the past couple of weeks, could be returning from his upper body injury not too distant future as he's returned to practice, so really good news there for Boston, but bad news there on Kastelic. Philip Hedl didn't travel with the team. He's probably going to be out for the next couple of games, and it's out day-to-day right now with upper body injuries, so bad blow there for the Rangers that they're going to miss Hedl for the next couple of games. Frederik Andersen will be out longer term and more longer than expected for the Carolina Hurricanes after it was originally scheduled for like a week-to-week thing, but it sounds like he'll probably miss at least a month or two, so bad blow there for the Hurricanes to lose Frederik Andersen for at least a little bit of time. Seth Jarvis was placed in injury reserve with upper body injuries, so that's a bad blow there for the Canes, as Jarvis has been a fantastic top 6 forward, so to lose him is quite awful there for the Carolina Hurricanes. While Pyotr Kochetkov missed 1 game of NHL action with undisclosed injury, but returned to game action back on Sunday, so good news there for the Carolina Hurricanes as Kochetkov got back into the lineup. Chris Letang is day-to-day as he deals with an illness after he's missed 2 games in a row now with an illness, so bad blow there for the Penguins as Letang's out. Matt Zuccarello is out 3 to 4 weeks with a lower body injury, so it's a horrible blow there for the Wild to lose a top 6 forward for very close to maybe the next month, so bad stuff there for Minnesota. San Jose's Jake Walman returned to game action after missing 5 games with upper body injury, so great news there as the Sharks get one of their top 4 defensemen back. Nico Sturm is day-to-day with upper body injury, so bad blow there for San Jose Sharks. Well, he took Vanacek left Saturday's game with an injury. Hopefully he'll recover, but with the fact that the Sharks recently called up Yaroslav Askarov, I do wonder if that's a little bit more of a bad situation there for the San Jose Sharks. For the Edmonton Oilers, Darnell Nurse left Saturday's game with a head injury after taking a bad hit from Ryan Reveas, which we'll get to in a minute. And he's going to be out for the next 5 to 10 days with an injury, so bad blow there for the Oilers blue line instead of a top 4 defenseman. And Victor Arvidsson's currently day-to-day with undisclosed injuries, missed a couple of games now, so bad blow there for the Oilers to miss a top 6 forward. Columbus's Kent Johnson should return at some point next week from his shoulder injury, so interesting stuff there, but the Jackets could be getting a big boost by getting Johnson back in the not just in future. Michael Rasmussen and Simon Edvinsson both missed Saturday's games. Rasmussen with the upper body injury, Edvinsson with the lower body injury, but they did get back into game action last night, so really good stuff there to see those 2 guys get back for the Red Wings. Derek Forbes placed an injury reserve with a knee injury for the Vancouver Canucks, so bad blow there for the Canucks. Anaheim's Mason McTavish was placed an injury reserve with upper body injury, so hopefully McTavish and Forbes are not going to be out for an overly long period of time for the Canucks and Ducks. Jarnkrok underwent sports hernia and groin surgery and is out indefinitely, so a bad blow there for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they're going to be without Jarnkrok for quite some time. Well, Austin Matthews is scheduled to miss his 7th straight game on Wednesday, so that's a bad blow there for the Leafs as they're going to be still without Matthews in the next game. Mike Riley underwent heart surgery and is out indefinitely, so he was already on injury reserve, so he's going to remain on injury reserve for quite some time, but that's a horrible blow there for the Islanders and horrible news there for Riley to have heart surgery. Romanov is still dealing with an injury, but maybe a game time decision for Tuesday's game action, so really good stuff there as they could be getting Romanov back in the not distant future. Ville Heinola was activated off the season opening injury reserve and sent to the AHL, so he's on there on a conditioning stint, so really good stuff there for Winnipeg as Heinola could be returning in the not distant future. Nathan Bastian has been moved from IR to long-term injury reserve with a jaw injury, so he's going to be out for it probably at least the next couple of weeks, if not more. Well, Kurt Lazar has been placed on injury reserve after undergoing a left knee procedure, so it sounds like he's going to be out for quite some time too, so bad blow there for the Devils. Victor Olofsson was sent to the AHL in a conditioning stint and should be able to return in the not distant future, so really good stuff there for Vegas. Thomas Novak is expected to return to game action on Tuesday after missing 6 games with an injury, so that could be a really good boost there for the Predators to get their 3C back. And for the Buffalo Sabres, Jordan Greenway missed a few weeks with an injury, while Tage Thompson could be back as early as Wednesday from his lower body injury, so good news there on Thompson as they could get him back in the next game or two, but a bad blow there for those Sabres as they lose Greenway for the next couple of weeks. Interesting note there, but those are the injury updates from our past couple of days. So good to see guys like Novak, Thompson, Rasmussen, Walman all get back in the game action, hopefully in the not distant future. But bad news to see guys like Letang, Zuccarello, Nurse, Jarnkrok all be out for the next little while, and hopefully they're not going to be out for an extremely long period of time and hopefully return in the not distant future. So interesting note there, but those are the injury updates from our past couple of days. Going over to the waiver updates, when we last talked about it, there were no waiver updates, but there has been a couple of updates from over the past couple of days. So first, on Thursday, we saw the Colorado Avalanche place Chris Wagner on waivers. Not too surprised there. Duran, Wood were both getting back in the not distant future. Nichushkin was going to get back in the not distant future. The Avs were about to have a lot more offensive weapons. They didn't need Wagner, so they moved him down on waivers. Wagner's mostly a 13th, 14th forward right now, maybe even more of an AHLer at this point, so I wasn't expecting him to get claimed. And come Friday morning, he didn't get claimed, so I'm not too surprised there. So the Avalanche just sent him back down to the minors. Then back over on Sunday, we saw the Detroit Red Wings place Jack Campbell on waivers. He had recently just come with the NHL Players Assistance Program, and with him coming out, the Red Wings didn't need to have him on the NHL roster, so they moved him to the minors. So they placed him on waivers. Not too surprised there that the Red Wings did that. I think that was always their plan, to have Campbell play in the minors and be their third, fourth stringer. So that's really good news there for the Red Wings that at least he's out of the player assistance program. So given the fact he was coming out of the player assistance program and had such a bad year last year with Edmonton, I was not overly surprised that he would probably wind up clearing, which he did. So good news there. The Red Wings now have another goaltending option. So interesting note there. And yesterday on Monday, we did see another waiver replacement, and that was Kapanen in St. Louis. Kapanen, who has been a solid third, fourth line forward there for the Blues this year, winds up being placed on waivers. Now he's got $1 million for 1 year. I could potentially see him be claimed. I wouldn't be overly surprised. He's a really good speedy winging forward. So if there's a team out there who needs some more bottom six help, I could definitely see them go after Kapanen. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But I definitely do think there's a possibility Kapanen could get claimed. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But those are waiver updates from our past couple of days. At this current point in time, Wagner in Colorado and Campbell in Detroit both cleared waivers, while Kapanen is currently on waivers for St. Louis Blues, and I wouldn't personally be shocked if you wound up being claimed. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. And lastly, going over to a quick suspension update here. Like we talked about, Darnell Nurse took a bad hit to the head from Ryan Reveas on Saturday. Nurse is going to be out for the next 5 to 10 days, but on the other side of things, Reaves was kicked from the game. He got a hearing from player safety, and they wound up serving him a 5-game suspension. So that's a very bad blow there for the Leafs. He's a solid bottom six forward, so losing for the next 5 games is bad, but I think 5 games is pretty good for Reaves, given that was a horrible hit and his history with suspensions as well. So I'm not overly surprised that he got a big suspension. I think 4 to 5 games would have probably been the right call for the suspension, and he does wind up getting suspended 5 games. So interesting note there, but Reaves is going to be out for probably a week and a half, 2 weeks. So bad stuff there for Toronto Maple Leafs as Reaves has been suspended. So those are some interesting updates from our past couple of days. Next, going over to a couple of trade rumors. Now, when it comes to trade rumors, we have 4 things to talk about here today. We're going to start with the Columbus Blue Jackets and David Jiricek. Now, when it comes to Jiricek, there's been a couple of recent reports. I've seen this from Elliotte Friedman on the Saturday Night Headlines. I've seen this from a couple of other sources too, saying that Don Waddell is hoping to have the David Jiricek situation dealt with in the next couple of days. Now, I'm not sure what exactly has happened. It sounds like Jiricek has not had the best of time in Columbus over the past couple of years, and I've heard Elliotte Friedman say on his podcast that Waddell doesn't have the sort of same connections to Jiricek that Jarnkrok Kapanen would have, because Ken Kapanen drafted him, not Waddell. So I do wonder if there's a possibility Jiricek could get moved by Columbus Blue Jackets. I think there's a couple of other people who think that too. I think when he says that he's probably going to deal with the situation, it probably means he's going to try and cool the waters down and try and show him that he should remain in Columbus. But there's a possibility out there that Jiricek may want out of Columbus at some point. So we're going to have to wait and see on what happens there. I think there's a very possibility that Jiricek stays and he doesn't wind up getting moved. I think Jackets really want to keep him. But is there a possibility that the Jackets maybe move on from him? I think Jiricek was a little bit shocked and surprised that they picked up Fabro, who plays a similar role to Jiricek does right now. So I do wonder what could happen with Jiricek and the Blue Jackets as Jiricek get moved. He's a really good young forward. He's a former 6th overall pick. So I wouldn't think they want to move him, but if they wind up moving him, what sort of a return could they get? Could they get a 1st round pick for him? Could they get a 2nd round pick and a good prospect? Like, I'm not sure if they would really want to move him, especially with where they are right now in their rebuild. So it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting situation to watch out for, but I've heard Elliotte Friedman say on Saturday Night Headlines that Waddell is hoping to get the Jiricek situation dealt with in the next couple of days. He's seen it from a couple of other places, and it just seems like either Jiricek is going to sort of have cooler heads and remain in Columbus, or we could see a trade in the next couple of days. We're going to have to wait and see on that, but look out for Jiricek as his name's probably going to come up in the next couple of days until Waddell sort of figures out the situation. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. Then we got a couple of potential trade options. So first, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins, we know there's talk about potential fire sale there in Pittsburgh. They've had a horrible start to this season. They could definitely look to try and change some things up, and one change that they could be looking to try and make would be in the defensive end. We talked about Marcus Pettersson as a potential trade candidate for Pittsburgh Penguins, solid top 4 left shot defenseman, more of a defensive-minded guy. David Pagnotta has linked him to one team who may have some interest in acquiring a guy like Marcus Pettersson, and that's the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets have had a fantastic start to the season, a couple of bad losses over the past week, but still, they're at 15-3-0. They're, I think, still the top team in the NHL. They're one of the better teams in the NHL too, so they're looking really good. So could they try and go after Marcus Pettersson? It's possible. They could move like a 2nd round pick and maybe one of their decent prospects. Like, could they move like a Lucius or something like that to try and improve and get Pettersson? It's a possibility. So I don't think there's anything too surprising with what Pagnotta Pagnotta saying. The Jets could use a top 4 upgrade. We know they lost guys like Schmidt and Dillon in the offseason this year, so they could definitely use probably a top 4 upgrade before the trade deadline. We know the Penguins really wanted to potentially move off a couple of pieces, especially putting UFAs, and Pettersson is one of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens there, but I think that could be a really good deal for those two sides. I think Pettersson could work out really well in Winnipeg. I think the Penguins could get a really good deal from the Jets, and I think the Jets could benefit from another top 4 defenseman. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, but Pagnotta does link Pettersson to the Jets. We're going to have to wait and see if the Jets do show some interest in Pettersson, potentially trying to acquire him, or if this is just Pagnotta speculating. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But keep an eye on the Jets. This is a possibility. Could be looking at a guy like Marcus Pettersson. When it comes to St. Louis Blues and Carolina Hurricanes, there's been some talk from Jimmy Murphy about potential hookup on a trade there. According to Jimmy Murphy, he says that there's a possibility that he's heard from a couple of NHL people that have said there's a possibility the Blues could potentially move Binnington if Binnington potentially requests a deal, which a couple of NHL analysis he's talked to said there's a possibility that Binnington could ask out at some point this year. The Blues have not had an overly great start to the year. I think they're 2 games under 500. They're really falling in a really good Central Division right now, and they have not had an overly great start to the year. So with that in mind, there could be sellers, and maybe Binnington wants to get a fresh start. And I've seen a couple of other people say maybe Binnington could go to Carolina. Carolina's having some goalie issues right now. Kachekov's had a pretty good start to the season, but he's not been able to give the full starting reins at this point in time. And Frederik Andersen, who's in the final year of his deal, is currently injured, might be out for quite some time. So it's going to be interesting to see. It probably does depend on Anderson, but Binnington could be a really good addition there for the Carolina Hurricanes. He's a solid starting level goaltender. It could really be a big boost to that Carolina Hurricanes team. The Hurricanes probably have the assets to pull off that sort of a deal. They still have a couple of really good prospects. They have some decent draft capital, so they could probably try and make some sort of a move. They could probably move Frederik Andersen to St. Louis as part of the deal, even if he's still injured. So we're going to have to wait and see on exactly what happens there. But from Jimmy Murphy, he's heard from a couple of NHL people that Binnington could ask out at some point from the St. Louis Blues, and then I've seen a couple of other articles say that there's a potentiality of a Blues-Canes hookup with Binnington involved. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, but it would be an interesting move to see Binnington go to Carolina. I think he could be a really good fit there in the Hurricanes organization and provide them with some stable goaltending, so we're going to have to wait and see on that. And lastly, going over to the Boston Bruins and Anaheim Ducks. There's been a couple of recent reports, also from Jimmy Murphy, saying that the Bruins may have some major interest in Trevor Zegras. Now, he says that the Bruins are currently looking for something to shake up their roster. They're not the best of starts. They've hit the 20-game mark at below 500, which is un-Bruins-like completely. So something seems to be needing to give in the next little while. He says that they're looking for a top 6 forward, either a center or a winger, who can really help that top 6 and shake up that team. Zegras might be that sort of guy that they need. Zegras is a really good playmaking forward, which the Bruins could definitely use. He's this top 6 guy. He can fit as like their second-line center. He could be a really good fit there for the Bruins. Now, we've talked about this before, I think in our last video. Zegras is still out there, but the Ducks aren't actively shopping him. They're not actively looking to move him, so there's a very likely chance that if the Ducks did wind up moving Zegras, it would have to be for a package that blows their team away. So my guess would be if the Bruins wanted Zegras, they have to move like a first-round pick, they have to move a really good prospect, something like maybe a Beecher or a Poitras or a Quintar, or one of those really high-level prospects, and probably something else like maybe a second or third-round pick, maybe a low-end prospect, maybe something on the roster like maybe a Brendan Carlo or maybe a Charlie Coyle. Like, they have to move a couple of really good pieces to move Zegras. So they have to weigh out the situation, what makes sense for them, especially with where they're on the standings. If they missed the playoffs and gave up the first-round pick, would that really make sense if they were able to keep Zegras? So they'll have to wait and see on that, but Jimmy Murphy does think that with the Bruins start, with them looking for some top 6 help, they could have some major interest in Trevor Zegras, and with him being a playmaking forward who can fit in their top 6, that could be a really good addition there for Boston. And I do think this could be a really good deal for the Bruins, but they will have to probably part from a first-round pick, a top-end level prospect, and probably something else in order to make some sort of a deal work with the Anaheim Ducks. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But that's all we're talking about for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. What do you think about the Ducks and Bruins? Could they hook up on a Zegras deal? And if so, what do you think the return could be for the Anaheim Ducks? Yes. Do you think the Carolina Hurricanes and St. Louis Blues could hook up on a deal? And if so, could Binnington be moved to Carolina? What could a return be from St. Louis? And could Binnington ask out at some point this year? Do the Penguins and Jets hook up on a deal for Marcus Pettersson? Will the Jets be interested in that? And what sort of a return could Pittsburgh get from Winnipeg? Do you think Jiricek gets moved by the Columbus Blue Jackets? Or do you think he probably winds up staying and gets some more playing time in Columbus? And what do you think about the waiver updates, injury updates, suspension, and signing from over the past couple of days? Definitely let your guys' thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So that's all for today. Enjoy this video. If you like it, subscribe down below. Thank you for your support. We're going to love you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. So you can also see this video. Also a blog, Trade news, rumors, analysis, if that's, so check that out. Leave a link down in the description below. And can I see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.